Halloween. The name alone conjures images of spooky costumes, jack-o'-lanterns, and trick-or-treating. It's a night when children transform into their favorite characters and adults often join in the fun. But beyond the costumes and candy lies a rich history steeped in ancient traditions and beliefs. Halloween is a time for both celebration and reflection. We revel in the thrill of the unknown, the excitement of dressing up, and the joy of sharing treats. Yet beneath the surface lies a deeper significance. Halloween's origins can be traced back centuries, to a time when the boundaries between the living and the dead were considered thin. This ancient festival, known as Samhain, marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, a time associated with death and the supernatural. Join us as we delve into the fascinating history of Halloween, exploring its origins, traditions, and enduring appeal. Halloween's roots can be traced back over 2,000 years to the ancient Celts, a people whose rich traditions and beliefs have left a lasting imprint on our modern festivities. The Celts lived in what is now Ireland, Britain, and northern France, regions steeped in myth and legend. They celebrated a festival called Samhain on October 31st, marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. This was a time of great importance as it signified the transition from the light and warmth of summer to the dark and cold of winter. For the Celts, the end of summer and the onset of winter held a deeper significance. It was a period of reflection and preparation as they braced themselves for the harsh months ahead. Winter was a time of darkness and cold, associated with death and the unknown. The long, frigid nights and barren landscapes were a stark reminder of life's fragility. Samhain, therefore, was not simply a harvest festival, but a time when the boundary between the living world and the other world was believed to be at its thinnest. This belief imbued the festival with a mystical and eerie atmosphere. This thinning of the veil between worlds was seen as both a time of opportunity and danger. It was a moment when the living could communicate with the dead, seeking guidance or protection. It allowed spirits, both benevolent and malevolent, to cross over into the human realm. The Celts believed that these spirits could offer wisdom or cause harm, depending on how they were treated. To appease these spirits, the Celts engaged in various rituals, including offering food and drink, dressing up in costumes, and lighting bonfires. These acts were meant to honor the spirits and ensure their goodwill. These ancient Celtic traditions form the foundation of our modern Halloween celebrations. The costumes, the bonfires, and the offerings have evolved over time, but their essence remains rooted in the practices of the Celts, echoing through the ages to the present day. Samhain was the most important festival in the Celtic calendar. Celebrated from October 31st to November 1st, it marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, a time when the boundary between the living and the dead was believed to be at its thinnest. This liminal period was seen as an opportunity to communicate with the other world, where spirits and deities resided. It was a time for divination, when people sought guidance from the other world about the future. Various methods were employed, from reading the patterns in the flames of a fire to interpreting the shapes of fallen leaves. These practices were not just about predicting the future, but also about understanding the present and making sense of the past. Druids, the Celtic priests, would light huge bonfires, believing that the flames attracted insects, which in turn attracted bats, creatures they believed carried messages from the spirit world. The bonfires were also thought to have protective properties, warding off evil spirits and ensuring the community's safety during the dark months ahead. People often extinguished their hearth fires and then relit them from the communal bonfire, hoping to receive blessings and protection for the coming winter. This act of relighting hearth fires was deeply symbolic, representing a fresh start and the renewal of life and warmth in their homes. The act of sharing the fire symbolized community and unity in the face of the approaching darkness. It was a time for people to come together, share stories, and strengthen their bonds. Knowing that they would need each other's support to get through the harsh winter months, food played a central role in Samhain rituals. The feasts were not just about sustenance, but also about honoring the earth's bounty and giving thanks for the harvest. Special foods were prepared, often with ingredients that had been harvested during the previous months. Animals were sacrificed, and feasts were held to honor the dead and appease the spirits. These sacrifices were seen as necessary to ensure the community's survival, as they believed that the spirits could influence the success of their crops and livestock in the coming year. People left offerings of food and drink outside their homes for wandering spirits, a practice that evolved into our modern tradition of trick-or-treating. These offerings were meant to placate the spirits and ensure that they would not cause harm to the household or its inhabitants. Samhain was a time of both celebration and fear, a time to honor the dead and welcome the coming darkness. The festival acknowledged the cycle of life and death, recognizing that death was a natural part of life, and that the darkness of winter would eventually give way to the light of spring. Its traditions have survived for centuries, evolving and transforming, but never truly disappearing. Today, many of the customs associated with Halloween can be traced back to Samhain, showing how this ancient festival continues to influence our modern celebrations. As Christianity spread throughout Europe, it encountered existing pagan beliefs and practices. Rather than trying to eliminate these traditions entirely, the Church often sought to assimilate them. This process of Christianization is evident in the evolution of Samhain into Halloween. In the 7th century, Pope Boniface IV designated November 1st as All Saints' Day, also known as All Hallows' Day, a day to honor all Christian saints. This was likely a strategic move to overlay a Christian celebration on the existing pagan festival of Samhain. The evening before All Saints' Day, October 31st, became known as All Hallows' Eve, which eventually evolved into Halloween. Over time, the Christian and pagan elements of the holiday blended together. While the Church sought to Christianize Samhain, many of the original traditions persisted. The association with death, spirits, and the supernatural remained, albeit within a Christian framework. Halloween became a time to remember the dead, including saints, martyrs, and all the faithful departed. Many of the symbols we associate with Halloween have their roots in ancient beliefs and superstitions. These symbols have been passed down through generations, evolving and adapting to fit the cultural context of the times. From the eerie to the playful, each symbol carries a story that connects us to our past. Costumes, jack-o'-lanterns, and trick-or-treating each have fascinating stories to tell. These traditions, now synonymous with Halloween, were once steeped in rituals meant to protect, honor, and celebrate. They are more than just fun activities. They are echoes of ancient practices that have stood the test of time. Let's explore the symbolism behind these familiar traditions. By delving into their origins, we can uncover the layers of meaning that have been woven into the fabric of Halloween. Each symbol, each practice, has a rich history that adds depth to our modern celebrations. Costumes: the Celts believed that on Samhain the boundary between the worlds was thin and spirits could easily cross over. This festival marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, a time often associated with death. To protect themselves from malevolent spirits, the Celts would don costumes and masks, blending in with the supernatural beings that roamed the earth. To avoid being recognized by malevolent spirits, people would wear costumes and masks. These disguises were not just for protection, they were also a way to honor the spirits and ensure a good harvest for the coming year. The tradition of dressing up has evolved, but the essence remains the same, a blend of fear, respect, and celebration. This practice was also a way to honor and appease the dead. By wearing costumes, people believed they could communicate with the spirits, seeking their favor and protection. The act of dressing up was a ritualistic gesture, a bridge between the living and the dead. Jack-o'-lanterns. The tradition of carving pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns originated in Ireland. Originally, turnips and other root vegetables were used. The story of Stingy Jack, a man doomed to wander the earth with only a carved-out turnip to light his way, gave rise to this practice. When Irish immigrants brought the tradition to America, they found that pumpkins, native to the New World, were perfect for carving. The carved pumpkin, often illuminated from within by a candle, is thought to represent a soul light meant to guide spirits on their journey. This glowing beacon was believed to ward off evil spirits and protect homes from harm. Over time, the jack-o'-lantern has become a symbol of Halloween itself, embodying the spirit of the season. The association with pumpkins came later, replacing the original turnips used in Ireland. Pumpkins were larger and easier to carve, making them an ideal substitute. This adaptation shows how traditions can change and evolve while still preserving their core meaning. Trick-or-treating. This beloved Halloween tradition has its roots in both pagan and Christian practices. On Samhain, people would leave food and drink offerings for wandering spirits, hoping to appease them and ensure their own safety. This practice of giving and receiving has transformed into the modern custom of trick-or-treating. On Samhain, people would leave food and drink offerings for wandering spirits. These offerings were meant to placate the spirits and prevent them from causing harm. The act of giving food was a gesture of goodwill, a way to maintain harmony between the living and the dead. Later, during the Middle Ages, poor people would go door to door on All Souls' Day, November 2nd, receiving soul cakes in exchange for prayers for the dead. This practice, known as souling, was a way for the living to honor the deceased and seek blessings. The tradition of going door to door has endured, evolving into the playful activity we know today. These symbols, once imbued with fear and superstition, have evolved over time to become playful elements of a fun-filled holiday. What was once a night of solemn rituals and protective measures is now a celebration of creativity and community. The transformation of these symbols reflects the changing nature of Halloween itself. However, understanding their origins can deepen our appreciation for the rich history behind Halloween. By recognizing the ancient roots of our modern practices, we can connect more deeply with the past and carry forward the traditions with a sense of respect and wonder. Halloween is not just a night of fun, it's a tapestry of history, culture, and human connection.